The storm rolled across the Montana plains like a wounded animal, growling through the canyons and howling against the windows of the Willow Creek Diner. Inside, under the flickering neon light, Emma Turner stirred a pot of soup with trembling hands. Her world had always been quiet, defined by recipes and routines, but tonight, the quiet was broken when the door burst open, letting in a man who looked like he'd been chased by ghosts. His name was Luke Dawson, the rancher everyone whispered about, the man who'd lost everything. Their eyes met through the steam and thunder, and in that instant, two lonely lives collided like sparks against flint. Luke didn't speak much, but pain hung on him like an old coat, heavy and worn. He ordered coffee and sat in the corner booth, staring into it as if it might tell him something about the future he no longer believed in. Emma wiped her hands on her apron, trying to ignore the flutter in her chest. She knew his story, the broken engagement, the foreclosure notice, the empty ranch that once buzzed with laughter. But seeing him here, alive yet hollow, made her heart ache. She wanted to say something comforting, but she barely managed small talk with regular customers. Still, something inside her whispered that he needed kindness more than coffee. The bell above the door jingled again, pulling Emma's gaze to the new arrivals, a group of women, laughing too loudly, all dressed for the Willow Creek Harvest Ball down the street. Among them was Claire Sanders, the town's golden girl, who had a cruel streak that shimmered beneath her charm. She spotted Emma immediately and smirked. "Well, if it isn't our little diner mouse," Claire said sweetly. "Coming to the ball tonight, or too busy hiding behind your pots and pans?" The laughter that followed stung like salt. Emma smiled weakly, trying to brush it off, but her hands trembled so hard she nearly dropped the coffee pot. When Claire turned her attention to Luke, her voice turned honeyed. "Luke Dawson," she cooed, "didn't expect to see you here. Still trying to mend that broken heart?" The air tightened around them. Luke's jaw flexed, but he didn't answer. Emma could feel the humiliation radiating from both of them, him, cornered by his past, and her, powerless to stop it. And then, before she even realized what she was doing, the words spilled out of her trembling mouth. "He's actually here with me," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "Luke's my boyfriend." The diner went silent. Luke's head snapped toward her, eyes wide. Claire blinked, taken aback. "Your boyfriend?" she repeated, disbelief dripping from every syllable. Emma forced a small smile, praying he wouldn't ruin it. "That's right," Luke finally said after a heartbeat, his deep voice calm and sure. "Emma and I have been seeing each other for a while." The smirk on Claire's face faltered. She muttered something under her breath and left with her friends, their laughter fading into the wind. The diner exhaled. Emma's knees nearly buckled from the adrenaline. As soon as the door closed, Emma turned to Luke, mortified. "I'm so sorry, I don't know what came over me," she stammered. "You don't have to," but Luke held up a hand, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth for the first time that night. "It's all right," he said quietly. "I've been called worse things than someone's boyfriend." His attempt at humor melted her panic, and for the first time, she noticed that his eyes, though weary, held a glimmer of warmth. "Still," she murmured, "thank you for going along with it." They could have left it there, a harmless lie born out of embarrassment, but fate had other plans. The next morning, Emma's best friend Lila burst into the kitchen, breathless with gossip. "Emma, everyone's talking about you and Luke Dawson. They say you're going to the Harvest Ball together tonight." Emma nearly dropped the tray she was carrying. Her stomach twisted. "The ball? Lila, I can't go." That lie, it wasn't supposed to spread. But it was too late. The whole town had already decided they were a couple, and the ball committee had even sent her an invitation. Emma spent the rest of the day in quiet panic. The last time she'd been to a town event, she'd spent the evening hiding near the punch bowl while people whispered about her stutter and plain dresses. Now she was supposed to show up on the arm of the most talked-about man in Willow Creek. When Luke walked in that evening, dressed in a clean shirt and a look of quiet determination, she nearly forgot how to breathe. "You don't have to do this," she said softly. He shrugged. "Maybe I want to." And for the first time in a long while, Emma felt seen. The drive to the harvest ball was filled with nervous laughter and awkward silence. Luke admitted he hadn't danced in years. Emma confessed she'd never really danced at all. By the time they arrived, the stars had broken through the storm clouds, scattering light over the barn-turned ballroom. Music drifted through the night air, and as they stepped inside, heads turned. Conversations paused. For once, the whispers weren't cruel, they were curious. Emma's heart raced. She wanted to run, but Luke's steady hand on her back anchored her. Claire was there, of course, glittering in a gown that shimmered like ice. She sauntered over, feigning surprise. "Emma, you clean up well. And Luke, you do love a charity case, don't you?" The cruelty hit like a slap, but before Emma could shrink away, Luke's arm tightened around her waist. "That's enough, Claire," he said, voice low and dangerous. "You had your chance to be kind to people who deserved it. You blew it." The crowd's murmur shifted. Claire's smile faltered, and for the first time, she looked small. Emma's heart pounded as Luke guided her away. They danced then, awkwardly at first, then slowly finding a rhythm. The music wrapped around them, and the world faded to the sound of their quiet laughter. Emma's dress brushed against his boots, his hand rested gently on her back. "You're trembling," he whispered. "I'm not used to people looking at me," she admitted. "They're not looking at you, Emma," he said softly. "They're seeing you." It was such a simple thing to say, yet it cracked something open in her chest, something fragile and hidden. As the night deepened, Luke found himself laughing again, real laughter, the kind that had been buried since the day his fiancée left him. Emma wasn't trying to fix him, and maybe that's why being near her healed something he hadn't realized was still bleeding. He watched her smile at the lanterns, shy but radiant, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel like a man defined by loss. He felt like someone beginning again. The thought terrified him, and thrilled him all the same. After the last song ended, they stepped outside into the cool night air. The barn's lights glowed behind them like a memory. Emma looked up at the stars, her breath misting in the chill. "Thank you," she said softly. "For pretending." Luke's gaze lingered on her face. "Emma," he said, his voice rough, "I wasn't pretending." The words hung between them, trembling and alive. She blinked, unsure if she'd heard right. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. "You make me feel like I belong somewhere again." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Emma smiled, a small, genuine smile that reached her eyes. "You do belong," she whispered. "Maybe, here." The wind stirred the tall grass, carrying away the ghosts of what once was. Luke took her hand, and together they walked toward his truck, not as two broken people bound by loneliness, but as two souls brave enough to start anew. The stars stretched wide above them, endless and forgiving. In the weeks that followed, the town's gossip shifted from whispers to warmth. The diner filled with laughter again, and Luke began helping Emma with deliveries, fixing the leaky roof, and teaching her how to ride. The more time they spent together, the more natural it felt. The lie that started as protection became a truth neither of them wanted to let go of. Emma learned to speak without fear, Luke learned to love without regret. The world, once cold and small, felt wide and filled with promise. But one afternoon, as Emma prepared pies for the county fair, Luke received an offer to rebuild his ranch through a government grant. It was everything he'd dreamed of, except it meant moving miles away. He told her that night, his voice thick with uncertainty. "I don't want to lose what we've found," he said. Emma's heart twisted, but she smiled through it. "Then don't," she whispered. "Maybe this isn't about pretending anymore, Luke. Maybe it's about believing we deserve something good." He looked at her then, the shy cook who'd once hidden behind kitchen doors,